Ding, ding, ding. It's 11 o'clock. Welcome to this edition of Tech Talk. My name is Tri Wynn. I am the product manager and market development manager here at Zyxel US. We're going to be talking about secure remote workplaces and how do you do that with also secure Wi-Fi. Again, we love to have you interact with me. If you have any questions during this presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A section and drop your questions in there, and I'll try to answer them, on the go while we talk through this process and through this technology and through the solution that we have here at Zyxel. Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Again, I'm looking forward to talking you through some of these solutions that we have. Welcome everybody. So let's go ahead and just jump in real quick and get started. Just introduction to us. If you haven't been at any one of our tech talks, we'd love to introduce you to who we are. If you're a new partner with us as well, thank you for being a partner. Or if you're looking to become a partner, we hope that some of this information will help you with that and we can be helpful in providing you these kinds of solutions and information. We've been around for 32 plus years now, 100 million devices connecting globally, 600 employees here at Zyxel Networks, 700,000 businesses make these use our solutions in 150 markets globally. We also have over 200,000 devices in Nebula platform, in our Nebula platform that we'll talk about as well as part of this particular solution. Our sales reps that service you and serve you to provide information on products, on pricing, where to buy through distribution, and then help you interact with the distribution sales reps as well to make sure that the product gets delivered to you, the appropriate products are being ordered. David Chen handles Canada and the East Coast region in the orange. Andy is in the West Coast in Alaska, Hawaii. Jacob is in that central region there. So make sure you have this information and you contact them. They are your advocates. They are here to help you with any kind of questions, solutions that you have, any concerns, any issues that you have during your journey here with Zyxel. We are internationally recognized for our design and innovation of our products worldwide, and we take pride in that. We've also take pride in being certified from a security level with Verizon ICSA Labs for the past 20 plus years. We're only one of the few vendors with that kind of distinction. I think there's only 5 vendors that have a 20-year plus in a row in terms of being certified with ICSA Labs. We are solutions driven, as you'll probably know or hear. We are really driven by what our clients want and what they need, and we listen to them because we do develop the products and the hardware, the software of most of the products that are here at Zyxel. So we supply, we take your questions, takes your information, your feedback very seriously to make sure that our entire ecosystem of products really fulfills the needs of you and your customers in both management and usability. We have a comprehensive portfolio end-to-end to give that network delivery solution, an entire solution, security appliances, wireless solutions, switching networks, fiber, PoE, gateway access networks for, guest network access, hotspots, those kinds of home routers. Also network management layer to either as standalone, managed on the device through a web interface or managed in the Nebula Cloud. So today we want to talk about security. It's always, again, security is very important in my heart. Secure networks, especially in a remote working environment. I'm here remote today, and we're on a hybrid schedule, like maybe some of you are as well. But we want to make sure that we create, and you as partners create or inform your customers on how to create a secure, collaborative work environment, really for those teleworkers, for those users who are remote, and make sure that it's secure. The usability and the experience is, as seamless as possible for a work environment, and especially as if they were working from the office itself. So productivity, there's a balance between productivity and security, right? You want to make sure that things are secure while these users are using these remote networks. They could be working from a coffee shop, or they're on the road, they're working from a hotel room, or they're working from their home office, especially in the hybrid mode. Half of us are working, 2-3 days a week at home, and the rest in the office. And we're kind of on that kind of rotation, but we have to balance that. We want to make sure that people are still productive. They're still adhering to certain policies that as if they were in the office, and making sure that those are enforced and also being able to be monitored, but also do it securely. Right? Users today have typically 3 or 4 devices, even when they're in the office. They're connected to their work laptop. They may have a voice over IP phone. They'll have their tablet, their phone. All of those are being connected to that office network. And when they're at home, they're kind of using that now to connect to the home network. And how does that translate into traffic and data being secure to the office itself? They're using it for voice, for video, for data applications. And then they're needing to possibly install maybe VPN clients or some sort of encryption clients in order to communicate back to the office. So you have to have your phone be able to have that capability, your laptops, whatever devices may be, to make that kind of connection back. You may be using at the same time, these remote users may be subject to, accessing certain servers, or also backups that are housed at the office location, or doing kind of remote access of PCs, and again, being able to do that securely as possible. Using security, you have to also enforce certain policies, like I mentioned earlier, maybe employee traffic before it gets into the office network, or you might want to have it subject to certain content filtering or certain other security policies to give access. Or maybe even just to connect to that network, you may have a policy of maybe like a 2-factor authentication, or maybe uh, some sort of 802.1x authentication in order to make that connection, to make sure that the device that's connecting to that Wi-Fi or connecting back to that network is a secure and authenticated device, so that it's allowed to make that kind of connectivity. So what we offer is we try to make ways to simplify the connectivity, especially using Nebula to do that. So Nebula is our cloud platform. Like I mentioned earlier, uh, it is a management console for managed service providers and even for individuals to manage their own, IT networks of all across the board, for their Wi-Fi, for their switching networks, for their gateway networks. And also we've integrated now some VPN integrations to make VPN easier to kind of deploy with laptops work in the remote field. But we've also now included some additional functionality, a feature set that allows for you to do a drop in of an access point that supports what we call secure Wi-Fi. And secure Wi-Fi is really a feature that is integrated into these access points that have this functionality to create a secure tunnel back to the central office without the need of another device at that remote network or at that home network. So no longer do you need to worry about opening ports or making sure that the router supports, VPN protocols, or maybe the modem that you're using allows for some sort of VPN tunneling. And then sometimes the ISP doesn't allow for that kind of functionality. So you have to either call them, have them put it in bridge mode. A lot of hassle can come into play. So we're trying to, again, make things as easy as possible with using that. So what it does in essence is it creates this environment as if you are working from the office. I mean, I have my coffee right next to me here too, so maybe I can have that. I don't think I have. I've never seen a Zoom call like that though, because everybody's looking, perfect in that Zoom call that they have there in that picture. But what it does really is, in essence, it creates an environment wherever you may be, at home or at a remote office. It extends that workplace into the office as if you were sitting there in the office, or maybe you could say the other way, it extends the office into your remote office. Um, Allows for an L2, a layer 2 secure tunnel to be made through the existing connection, so that anything that's connected to that Wi-Fi access point on that SSID, that specific one, laptops, voice over IP, maybe PIM devices, or maybe POS tablets, or whatever it may be, it will connect to that SSID, and all the traffic will function as if it was sitting in the office itself. So it really helps to give you connectivity to maybe network shares, to maybe email servers or certain types of servers or billing servers, CRM tools that might be hosted on the local side, on the office side, printers. So really that integration, we have this kind of capability where maybe the people who are doing the invoicing are remote, and they can do the invoicing and send a print to the warehouse, which is at the office location, and it prints to that warehouse machine. And the warehouse people will get that and be able to pick and pack and ship those units that have been invoiced. So there's a lot of those kinds of applications. Other applications for extending this particular network could be even maybe temporary locations. Maybe you have a construction site that needs connectivity. Now you can imagine just getting maybe like an LTE router that provides a wireless connection to the internet. You put and drop in one of these access points, able to build a tunnel through that, make your connection back to the office. So now all of a sudden you have this mobile, office point. And even if that construction trailer moves to another location, it still is kind of carrying, that connectivity along with it. So that's another powerful tool that can be used in that kind of application, and still be able to access those resources back at the main office without sacrificing, the connectivity or having to wait for a dedicated line or a new internet connection to come to that particular location. So it's very mobile in that. Or even maybe a user who has connectivity, they can be, bringing this kind of application or this piece with them, ensuring that there always is a secure connection for them wherever they may be. So even in a hotel or in a kind of remote office, even maybe with they're traveling and need to work while they're traveling, or even have some sort of connectivity while they're on leave or wherever it may be. So again, it can function very much so as if they were in the office. So really, like a laptop, like my laptop is an office, uh, our IT has given us our laptops, right? It's a company laptop, and they've configured it to access certain SSIDs with 802 authentication, 802.1x authentication. And in order to connect to those Wi-Fi networks when I'm in the office, I have to have the correct authentication parameters and the two-factor authentication in that in order to make that connectivity. You can now extend that kind of connectivity user uh, experience into the home. So as long as I have an access point that supports secure Wi-Fi at home, then all of a sudden my laptop will function just as if it was sitting in the office. It can automatically connect to that SSID that's been applied, same SSID as it is in my office environment. So it really helps with that extension. Also, the big thing too is making sure that when you deploy a secure Wi-Fi access point, you don't have to open up ports. You don't have to go and look at the existing modem that is there to try to make sure that it's not blocking connectivity, it's not blocking, VPN tunnels capability, or even like connectivity back to an office. So all of this is done automatically. As long as there's internet connectivity from inside out, it can make that connection and make a secure connection there. And what it really eliminates is, I don't want my office network to be kind of let's say shared per se with potentially other devices that could be compromised. Like I don't want to just connect my laptop to an existing home network where all my smart TVs are connected, my home smart devices, my kids' laptops, and their gaming systems, all of those things on that Wi-Fi network. This gives you a separated network that is done and is used for that office capability. So making that office connected. So hopefully that some of those ideas will help you in just thinking through like maybe with some of the customers or things that they're dealing with, but also not just for remote connectivity, because you can do that with like a VPN tunnel. You can install your own firewall at home, but that also adds complexity, and we want to make it simple. We also want to make it secure, so you're able to provide all of these layers of security on top of that. Whereas, just using your existing network, there may not be that security implication there. So the remote AP can there just, again, build a tunnel. You can just drop it in. It's seamlessly accessible to your corporate network. It also works as both in a Nebula mode, so you can manage the entire network infrastructure with these remote access points in the cloud, or this feature also functions in standalone mode if you just have an office that is not part of the Nebula infrastructure. So it's really about plug and play, putting things at making it easy as possible, so that when a user who maybe not be very technical brings this access point home, their instruction is just, well, plug this into your existing, a network, your modem or your switch that has the modems connected to, that provides you internet connection. As long as you plug that in, it gets internet access. We can handle it. The IT manager can handle it. We'll see it pop up in their cloud, be able to make sure that it's configured. It will pull down its configurations and do any auto firmware updates, build a tunnel, and then the user just has to open up their laptop, and connect to the Wi-Fi that they connect to typically at their office. It may just even just auto connect at that point if it's all set up correctly already. We want to be able to also extend, um, the idea, the concept of zero trust networking. With zero trust networking, basically the concept is you can't really trust anything that's out there. So you have to kind of take it in your own hands to make sure that the network, make sure the endpoints and the communication with the offices are as secure as possible. So we utilize all those, functionalities, so our security applications, the content filtering, the intrusion detection, all of that with the secure Wi-Fi to make sure that as far as we can reach, as far as we can go to the endpoint, we're making sure that it's secure as possible. And these can include some complex designs. There could be some complex issues that you may run into depending on where the network is. But that's typically found in kind of the enterprise level. When you have a lot of users and stuff. But we do have implementations to make sure that policies can be integrated with like Active Directory or a radius server, things to help with the authentication method. And then, again, it depends on how complex or how sophisticated or how secure you want to make it. This product can range between that, just either simple authentication, or you can do a whole range of authentication policies that apply to these users as they connect. Again, even with two-factor authentication. So we've also integrated with Google Authenticator as well to make sure that the users that are connected to the network, either hardwired or through this wireless connectivity or through VPN tunnels, whatever it may be, uh, can be using two-factor authentication, making sure that the user's laptop, even if it was compromised, can't build the VPN tunnel if they don't have the phone or the application that gives you the two-factor token to make that connection. So again, it just makes sure that the connectivity is clean, it's secured, and then also encrypted in the process. So using layer 2 encryption or using VPN encryption to make sure that is all secure. And of course, with Nebula, it allows for you to deploy these easily, quickly, and it makes it simple to install. You can create an account. If you don't have one already, you can go to nebula.zyxel.com and create an account. And it gives you this a pane of glass. Nebula in itself on the base level is free, and you can add these functionalities like secure Wi-Fi to that with the appropriate firewall and with the appropriate access points to be able to make that secure layer 2 tunnel. It also grabs and checks for the latest firmwares for the access points, for the gateways. It downloads all that and installs it. You can even schedule it to do these installations. So again, from a management standpoint, from like an MSP, you could just kind of almost set it and let it do its thing. You set the schedules on how often you want to check firmwares and or how you want to implement automatic updates and things like that. And then you have full visibility of the configurations of the devices. You have logs, you have information, and then from an onboarding standpoint, it's really simple and easy. You can use your Nebula app to scan a QR code that that integrates into the account, and it provides the MAC and serial information, and you can load that into a particular user or a particular account and apply that to that customer. So just from an onboarding standpoint, let's say you have a customer that you're servicing, an office, they have a USG Flex that's in their main office. You can have that already configured. And then let's say you want to deploy multiple remote users. Let's say there's 5 or 6 of those. You can get those access points that support secure Wi-Fi without even unboxing it. You can scan the QR code on the carton itself, apply that, and just apply them to the different sites. So you may have 6 different sites because there's 6 different remote people to manage that. You can apply that; those are goes into those buckets and into those site users, which then already have a configuration that you've already preset, so that when the device goes and gets delivered to the customer or to the end user making that remote connection, they just have to plug it in. It'll dial home to Nebula. It will download the latest firmwares, make sure it's updated, and then grab the configuration file that applies for that user site information and configure itself, and then build that secure layer tunnel back to the office. So it's really simple to deploy that. Even in the standalone kind of ability, you can make sure that even the standalone, it's a little bit, let's say standalone is a little bit different. You could apply it in the same network when you're kind of housing the, onboarding the new AP before you ship it off to the customer, and make sure, and then not to the remote user, so that when they install it, it already has the information to make that connection. So there's ways to do that, and to ensure that your kind of overall provisioning and these devices is as simple as possible. But with the remote, with the standalone mode, you do have to kind of make sure that updated on the firmwares and integrated, to have some way to remotely manage those devices still. So there is, until the connection is made, the VPN tunnel, then you'll be able to see those devices that are remote on the standalone. So that's why Nebula kind of makes everything simpler. It integrates that, also gives you full visibility. And it extends that network security visibility into that remote environment as well, because now that information is all coming back either to Nebula or through the firewall. And that is giving you information on where there may be possible security issues, security threats. Maybe somebody on, or some device on the remote network is getting infected or has a virus on it. We're able to monitor that and identify those threats. We can run reports on a monthly standpoint. We can customize these reports and these widgets as well from the visibility. You can customize reports to the Nebula for the security functionality, to even provide to your customers, right? So you can say, hey, these are all the users that you have. These are the devices you have. These are all of the security threats that we're protected against. This is how much bandwidth you've used. These are the websites that most of the people have been using or have been going to. All of that can be reported and given to your customers' IT management, and they can do whatever they want, or they can even be given login access for view, view only, and be able to see some of these reports, but not be able to make any changes. So they can log in and see live data, live information on these dashboards. So you can either switch to these security reporting functionality in Secure Reporter, which is part of the Nebula tool there for security functionality, or you can switch back to kind of the normal Nebula view. So you can see all that. You can even see and identify abnormal user behavior. So you can see maybe certain person's computer bandwidth has just been kind of at 100, let's say 100 kilobits per second, but then all of a sudden for the last 3 days it's been up in like the 1 gig range. It's been maxing out. So that can help to identify like there's something either going on, or maybe they're downloading something, or something is uploading, or maybe they've been compromised and the machine is now a BitTorrent node or something like that, right? So you can take action, be able to see all that information from these kinds of interfaces. So it kind of comes, our firewalls come in 3 flavors. The USG Flex is probably your best bet to start with in terms of which platform to use. Our USG Flex series is kind of our bread and butter. It is kind of that midline range. It provides full UTM protection, high performance, collaborative detective response, which is a feature that allows for these devices to detect when maybe an endpoint on a certain access point is compromised, and be able to take action and be able to set either thresholds or isolation to contain those potentially compromised clients at the access point edge side. So we can do that and collaborate when you're using a Zyxel solution there. Be able to offer two-factor authentication, like I mentioned before, with a Cloud Auth or a Google Authenticator, and then offer you that secure Wi-Fi tunnel functionality to provision those remote APs to make sure that their connectivity is layer 2 tunneled, and make that office environment reach all the way to the remote side. So these are some of the models. ATP series is also now part of our Nebula platform and also supports the secure Wi-Fi functionality. So these are the number of tunnel mode APs that you can support on these different ranges of models. So it does depend on how many of these remote APs you need or use, will dictate which kind of model you have or want to have. The other thing to consider too that I didn't mention is now with a lot more remote workers, you may have to upgrade your firewalls to one of these to provide multiple WAN connectivity. I mentioned this. I always mention this in my other webinars that today with the remote working environment, the download speeds at the office have always been sufficient. Either people have gig download, or they'll have like 500 megs downloading speeds at the office. But the problem is now they only have like a 10 meg upload speed, right? So 10 megs trying to share with 10 people, that's kind of offering everybody 1 megabits per second. And that's like, you're going back to like DSL and T1 days. And nobody can open up any of the web pages without having to wait 20, 30 seconds for it just to load, right? That's not very efficient to do that. So a lot of offices and businesses are now forced to look at having a secondary connection. So either maybe a synchronous fiber connection where they're offering, let's say, 500 megs down and up, but they don't want to get rid of their existing connection. And that's probably a wise decision as well, because with remote office working, you won't need to make sure that your connection to that office is always available and always on. So all of our ATP, USG Flex, and VPN series models, they have multiple WAN connectivity capabilities and also have multiple WAN prioritization for VPN as well. So it can build tunnels between either one of those WAN connections, and it has automatic failover and failback. So it can load balance, it can fail over. So between those connections, you can get a bigger pipe, and you can then offer people more bandwidth. In the office, people downloading things will come from the main connection from a download speed, and then the remote users are typically then connected on the fiber connection that is offering them the 500 megs of upload speed, right? Because that they can share. So that's something that you need to kind of figure out a balance for your customers, and maybe is an opportunity for you as well to upsell to these kinds of models that you don't typically find in kind of the consumer space, right? They don't usually have kind of multiple WAN, load balancing, failover, failback options. Some of our customers have also, gotten like maybe like an LTE router as well, to use that as a failover backup and also load balance between them as well. So there's some, those again options to do that. Like I said, with the remote users, remote teleworkers, for that as well. But these are the models on the low end. It supports 6 tunnels or 6 APs with this kind of tunneling mode. And that's just the Wi-Fi, the secure Wi-Fi mode. You can still use VPN, the VPN tunnels, and IPsec VPN, your L2TP VPN, your SSL VPNs. Those don't count against this number. That's a separate number that you'll see on the data sheet on how many VPN nodes it can support on these models. And typically on the IPsec side, from a VPN standpoint, it's usually like, even on the low end, it starts at like 40 VPN tunnels. So there's plenty of remote user connectivity that is allowed for these models. So the drop-in APs is again just that helpful, but it's nice because it can also eliminate numbers of tunnels that you're using on the IPsec side. For example, I could drop an AP for secure Wi-Fi into my home office, and then I can connect my VoIP phone, my clients, and my tablet to that SSID, and it only counts as one of these tunnels, rather than having 3 separate IPsec or LTTP tunnels building a connection to the office environment. So that's something of an advantage as well. So you just have to make sure that these products, if you already have or your customer already has one of these models, that they just have the latest firmware upgraded. This function has been supported in 5.0, ZLD 5.0. And so you just have to make sure that you're higher than that. I think we're up to 5.4 coming out soon, or 5.3 coming out soon. So there's a couple of iterations that already happened between that time frame and this. So just have them upgrade it, and you can even use trials and stuff like that for secure Wi-Fi. But then you have to have the appropriate access points. So we'll share what access points are supported. So in the Wi-Fi 5, the WAC versions, the WAC 500 is the model that would support secure Wi-Fi and the collaborative defense response. So that particular model on the Wi-Fi 5 side, these other 2 are supported in Nebula, but don't have that secure Wi-Fi functionality. So you can still use it in the office environment, but then on the remote office, you have to use the WAC 500. On the wall mount versions of the access points, the WAC 500Hs, those are like your wall mount functionality. That's actually really cool. And it's probably a good device to kind of carry around because it's pretty small. It's only a form factor of maybe like a large, cell phone. It's a little thicker, but it has about that size. And, that's easily put into a laptop bag with just maybe the DC adapter, but it allows for you to make a connection with if there's a wired connection that's available, or if they are bringing a LTE router that has an Ethernet connection to it as well, then they can plug it in and have really a remote office, a traveling remote office environment. So the WAC 500H is the model you want to look at there. Now on the Wi-Fi 6 side, all of our Wi-Fi 6 series models support this Wi-Fi, secure Wi-Fi and collaborative defense response. We've also just recently announced a feature set for our access points on the Wi-Fi 6 side that allows for you to do security scanning and cloud-based, almost like cloud-based UTM for anomalies, for like anti-malware functionality on the access point itself. So there's a licensing function that you can subscribe to that also enable these devices themselves to also do another security layer for you to do that scanning. So the WX series supports that, and that's called Connect and Protect. So there's a Connect and Protect function on these access points that allow you to do that. So the WX510D, the main difference between that and our flagship WAX650S is the 510D is an optimized antenna, so you can choose either wall mount or ceiling. So it optimizes the kind of the signal shape of the Wi-Fi. Whereas our WAX650S, the S stands for smart antenna, and that's our patented smart antenna technology that allows for it to mitigate interference, be able to then, because of that mitigation, be able to communicate better with devices and clients that are in that area, and be able to do it more cleanly, provide a clearer signal, and be able to communicate better as well. And also using the Wi-Fi 6 technology helps with having multiple users making that connection at the same time. So it expands on how many users it can support in a given area. So these are typically used in either difficult Wi-Fi signal connections, or where there's a lot of devices. So in like a smart classroom environment, or in a hospitality in the busier areas, maybe in the convention centers, that kind of thing for that. So the WAX would be that choice. Those also, you have to make sure also, because these are Wi-Fi 6, some of these will support multi-gig connections. So it's like a 2.5 or 5 gig Ethernet connection that provides both PoE. So you have to make sure your switch can support it in order to maximize the throughput potential for these devices. And also from a power standpoint, you need to make sure that some of these, like our WX650S, it's a power beast because it's running so many things and it's doing so much bandwidth pool and the multi-gig, that you have to have a multi-gig PoE++ ultra PoE 60 watt PoE capable switch in order to power up one of these devices. So we have PoE injectors that will do that if you're just looking for a one-off, or you can use the DC adapter that makes that connection, or you can get a XS1930 switch that has that multi-gig and the PoE++, the ultra PoE support. So you just have to keep that in consideration as you build that out. And if, again, you can't remember, but you want to put together these kinds of solutions, again, you want to contact one of those sales reps, East, Central, West, to be able to kind of help you through the process as you figuring out which solution will work or what you want to standardize on. Maybe you can still offer like a good, better, best option as well, and we can work with you to provide what solutions, which models will fit those kinds of solutions for you. So definitely work with us on that. And because of that integration with Nebula, it really helps to put things together where it's really simple, easy to use, easy to deploy, and easier to monitor and also manage. Because inevitably there'll be some times where users are either saying, "Hey, I have poor connectivity," or something's not working. And if you've ever been a kind of an IT manager before, you've always had to set up your back doors, right? Like I think every IT manager has some sort of backdoor team viewer or something, some VPN that makes a connection to that. So in case something ever happens, they have a way to get in there, right? Back in the day, we still had, a dial-up modem that you could call that, connected back to the, firewall, or to the network, or to even the, the power strip right? The one that was you could telnet to, and you can either dial into it or you can telnet to it. Make sure you can just reboot a device or reboot a server, right? That's something that we used to use. So this gives you that kind of visibility and gives you that option. As long as there's connectivity, as long as there's internet connectivity, you can have access to that without having to build those kinds of backdoors because it's already communicating with the system, with the cloud. Um, so really, once you have that deployed and dropped in and you've registered it in with that QR code, there's no additional hardware, no cloud keys, no servers that you have to install in that local prem in order to manage it and to be able to configure it. So again, it is a incredible tool, even on the free mode, on what it allows for you to do from a management standpoint. Of course, we know that some of the pro features uh, from for the functionalities that you may use as an MSP and the logging capabilities and the custom reports and stuff like that, that's really beneficial and valuable for a managed service provider. So that's the kind of the benefits of utilizing the full pro series of these models or in the cloud. So you can apply pro to certain customers. Maybe that those are the ones that you're offering a higher tiered service. So as a managed service provider, you can offer those higher tiers where you're doing active management or active monitoring, custom reporting, Wi-Fi help desk, whatever it may be. Those pro features allow and give you that functionality that you help you with delivering that kind of solution to the customer. Of course, you can still have the free level, which is kind of like, set it, forget it. But then if you need to have visibility on something because something's gone wrong, you can look into it and see maybe, oh, the user's just having poor connectivity, maybe they're outside the range, whatever it may be. You can get that visibility. You can still get signal strength information. You can still do cable loop testing, make sure that the Ethernet or the fiber is connected. You can do speed tests. You can do ping testing from that network itself. So originating from that inside out to kind of help you determine what's going on. So it gives you that high level visibility that you can then drill into, the individual users and their individual usage and consumption and reporting on that. So it offers a multi-layer, multi um, organizational kind of tree for you to manage multiple customers from a single pane of glass. So you have one login, you can have multiple customers, and under each customer, you can have multiple sites. So you can see this could be like a hotel chain or maybe a restaurant chain, or even the earlier example where you have an office, but then they have 10 different remote users, and you want to manage those as separate sites, and you manage all those APs on those different sites as as a different space. That gives you that flexibility, that option to manage unlimited number of organizations and number of sites underneath them. So it gives you that view, that holistic view, which then you can drill into each one of those organizations. You can get a dashboard. You can drill into a site and get this dashboard. And the dashboard is really helpful. You can customize the dashboard, put all the relevant widgets that you want. You can see maybe bandwidth utilizations, wireless clients that are connected to it, how much bandwidth they're using, what websites they're going to, um, how the APs themselves at that location, how much traffic they're getting on it, how many clients are on those APs, and then be able to drill into that information as well. How much PoE consumption? Again, just finding all this kind of information is very useful for a managed service provider, not only to troubleshoot, but also to give this kind of information to the customer, because then they see value on what you're providing for them. This even the value of this cloud interface is a huge potential for you to offer, even as even if you were paying nothing for the Nebula Cloud to offer the paid service, you could still be charging $5-10 for the management and monitoring of this interface, and then be able to offer the higher tiers for that. But it brings it all together. We have a dedicated app that will allow for you to get notifications. You can even configure, monitor anywhere you have access. So even if you use the tablet, as long as you have internet access, you can access this Nebula Cloud. So it's really powerful on be able to get that visibility, be able to give that connectivity into that network. You can get real-time reporting, summaries on the applications. You can see statuses of each individual organization. Like I mentioned earlier, you can drop and move between the different sites and multiple organizations easily with that drop-down box. You get all the notifications on your mobile devices there, on whatever you decide to set as an alert or an alarm. If node goes down, if certain types of threats that come through, you can set all those to be logged. So certain types of policies and then be logged and send you notifications as needed. We also have tools that help you as well. So you can synchronize between locations. You can do security backups. So you can synchronize the locations. You can store those backups to be applied later on, or maybe in a break fix situation if you needed to. You can do that. You can sync devices from a master device. So you can change, just have one change in that office. Maybe you're trying to change all the policies in all of the remote access points. You can just change one of them and have those be part of that master, uh, the main site there, and then be able to make those changes. You back up and restore those switches or devices that are there. You can make configuration templates on the Pro version and be able to cookie cutter those to other locations. So if, let's say you want to deploy the secure Wi-Fi solution and it includes a gateway, an access point, and a switch, you can have that profile created as an organization where the gateway is part of the main office, and then you have these switches or access points that are part of the organization, and you can actually clone those and make sure, and as you have new customers, clone it as a template and be able to make those changes on the new customer and be able to deploy that. You can do firmware updates, configuration templates, like I mentioned, upgrades, and also do troubleshooting as well. We want to make sure if there's some sort of problem, you have visibility to be able to make those changes. Like I mentioned, you can do remote CLI, you can do cable diagnostics from the fiber or the copper connection, you can do speed tests, ping from the devices. You can also get some topology views on what's connected to those devices. So not only on the wireless side, but also hardwired on the switch. It can detect what is there and what devices are connected. And great in the Pro version, creates you even a topology, automatic topology of what's going on your network. It also logs things. So on the base level, it will keep a 7-day log. But then on the Pro side of things, it will go to a 365-day log. So there is benefit in again, if you have security audit concerns, or make sure you just have to manage those security information, like who logs in, MAC address information, that in case you have to get back to it because of maybe some sort of compromise that you didn't see till later on, or didn't notice, or maybe there was some sort of complaints, or maybe an ISP complaint that something was being done. You have the ability to look back in those logs on the Pro level. So again, just that higher level of service offering to your customers. We have Base Pack, Plus Pack, Pro Pack. Base Pack is free. Plus Pack gives you some additional reporting, has a kind of a additional feature set above the Base Pack, and then the Pro Pack gives you everything that is available to the Nebula system and the Nebula platform. And so we want to make sure you guys are aware of those kind of 3 layers. It also offers you opportunities to sell different layers as well to your customers as your MSP offering. So all of our products that I mentioned earlier, including the licenses, including Nebula, all of that is it goes through our distribution model. So we partnered with D&H, Ingram Micro, Synnex, Tech Data Synnex, Wave Distribution, Target Distribution, and Pace International to provide you options to purchasing Zyxel products to resell to your customers. You have to be a Zyxel partner in order to get discounts, and we protect our channel by providing these discounts to our approved partners. So if you're not a partner yet, please sign up. It's free. It's no cost to you. You start out at the silver tier, and as long as you can maintain 6K in 6 months, which is 1K a month in Zyxel sales, you'll stay in silver. But we want you to get to the gold. We have a lot of silver partners who easily get up to gold because again, if it's part of their business, if networking and networking security applications or an MSP, managed service provider, if that's what you are, if that's who you are as a company, 12K in 6 months, that's 2K a month is very easy to do. Probably a couple projects, a couple of customers that you're selling firewalls and some of these access points to meet that requirement. And so that's kind of the goal, is we want you to get there because that gives you the maximum discount on the distribution side. So that way you'll see your pricing appropriately for your tier. So if you're not a partner and you log into Ingram Micro or any of those today, you'll see there's no margin there for you to make in terms of comparing it to the street price that we have posted, because we try to control that as much as possible. We control that to maintain what the price we want this product to be sold at, based on competitors and based on the overall market. But we have that price. We want you to be able to, as a VAR partner, as a value added reseller, to be able to sell these complex type products like security, like these secure Wi-Fi's, and be able to apply that, that knowledge that you have for security, and apply that to a customer that they can't just get, pick up off the shelf or just go onto online and just buy something and install themselves, right? It's something that requires users like, or partners like yourself, to become trained with Zyxel in these kinds of solutions to deliver that to the customer, to make sure that it's secure, make sure that it's enabled correctly, and make sure that it's properly managed, and then be able to monitor it, in a proper way. So we want you to do that. You have access to lead referrals, sales engineers, advanced replacements, in that gold tier as well. Just to mention as well, if you're doing larger projects, we do work with Leaf Financial, and we have a leasing company and financing company that we can work with as US partners that we can introduce you to offer leasing options for for equipment, maybe some of the larger products that are out, or larger projects that are out there. But definitely work with us. We want to get involved with many opportunities you have, big or small. We want to come in and be able to help you decide and make the proper decision on what kind of products to provide for your customers. If you don't, if you haven't yet connected with us, we're on LinkedIn. It's a Zyxel-US channel, and on YouTube you can find webinars like this one posted to the YouTube, and other ones that can help you, with other solutions and other technologies. That's at Zyxel America channel to find that us on YouTube. So just connect with us on that. So I haven't seen any questions during the presentation, but here's your chance to ask any questions. If you do have some, please again use the Q&A section to provide me with some questions if you have any. If not, you can maybe later on you have something that comes to mind. You want to ask me a question. My email is tri at zyxel.com. So just send me an email there, and I'll either answer it myself or send you to the appropriate person to be able to answer your questions. Again, thank you for your morning. Thank you for your afternoon, for spending that time here with me. Again, I'll just wait a couple more minutes if there's any questions, if you're typing it. If not, feel free to drop off. I thank you for spending this time with me. I look forward to talking to you again at another Tech Talk soon. Patrick asks, is there a white paper that talks about security? We do have a couple of white papers that have security on it. Send me an email. I'll check with our marketing on what we have available on that. It looks like there's currently no other questions. Again, stay safe. Look forward to talking to you again next time. Stay healthy and safe. Until then, again, my name is Tri, and look forward to talking to you soon. Have a good rest of your day.